So I'm delighted this week. Sorry, I'm an idiot. I forgot to ask. Do you prefer to be called Ben? You signed your emails Ben or Benjamin?
Benjamin Adair Murphy.
Benjamin Adair.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'll edit that bit out.
Great.
I'm delighted to be joined on the Blues Hour today with Benjamin Adair Murphy, who is known to some of the listeners in the Blues Hour because we have played one or two of his tracks from his latest album, Let's Make a King, over recent weeks. Benjamin Adair Murphy is, I think, something of a tremendously established blues artist, beginning, I think I'm right in saying, beginning with the Blue 88s back in New York as the front man. Is that right?
That's correct.
But also you've recorded all over the world, Brooklyn, Rome, Mexico. You're a lyricist for several other different acts. Your music has been played on film scores, Beckman and Revelation Road. Revelation Road actually features one of my favorite actors, Eric Roberts, who I think is a tragically underrated actor because I think he is superb. And also a published poet with plays that have been performed in various cities, including Boston and New York. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Blues Hour.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for coming. So the album, Let's Make a King, an album which tackles gun violence and xenophobia and racism. But I think probably for me, when I listened to it, it's attacking largely hypocrisy, isn't it, in all its forms? Would that be a fair assessment?
Oh, certainly, yeah, and willful ignorance, and at least, yeah, there's several songs that it was shocking to me to see at least how people in the United States could just get behind someone who is just a serial liar in so many ways, and so it was. Just people were not holding a leader up to how they should.
Standard.
Right. So it's this hypocrisy in so many ways that which within the album, which we deal with, and there's a lot of anger towards some of the religious hypocrisy of. It's in the United States, but also all over the world, where you have people who are saying they're religious, but they're going against every part of the religion that they say that they're a part of, welcoming the stranger, helping people who need help at a certain time, judging, and there's a lot of that. So there's a lot of the anger that of that hypocrisy that came out in all the songs.
I think so. There's, I think authenticity is the very least that we should be able to expect from people in all forms of leadership or authority.
I do really admire Pope Francis because I believe that he stands by everything that he stands for. Some people in the United States who would fall on the liberal side will get upset at Pope Francis because of he's against abortion, but he's he's a Catholic and he's the Pope, and he will never be for abortion. What he is for is a different view of what. Just trying to change the image of what it means to be pro-life, which is being being pro-child, being pro-prisoner, being pro-immigrant, and being pro of a person throughout their entire life. The issue that we have in the United States is that we have many people who are against abortion, but as soon as people are born, they don't feel like giving any additional benefits to those people. So it just stops right there. So it's this strange hypocrisy. So I'll never get angry at Pope Francis for being for not being for being saying that he's pro life, because he's done so many other beneficial things in terms of welcoming like the gay community and all these other issues that kind of fall on the more social liberal social area.
Yeah, I think there's a kind of love to the man, isn't there, that is perhaps lacking in some of the other expressions.
Yeah.
We can disagree with people and recognise that they're doing their best to being loving, and I think that's where people like Pope Francis strike a chord with others.
Yeah.
But you must be pleased with the way the album has been received. So some of the reviews I read, one said it was one of the best albums of 2020. There's words like compelling, comparisons to people like Dylan because of the kind of I've used the word kind of protest songs, but that's maybe it's maybe more a call for integrity rather than a protest song of the way that they were in the 60s. And you've kindly chosen 3 tracks from the album for us to play on the show today. The first one is The White Man Gets Things Done. So if you'd like to just say, if you're able to, a word or two about why you've picked this one and why it's important to you.
This one, I live in Mexico City, and this one was inspired by the murals of Diego Rivera, and he has some murals that show he does a lot with indigenous Indians, and this song itself was inspired by some of the murals showing the Spanish coming in and the treatment of the indigenous workers, forcing them to work in mines and the fields, and so it was inspired by that kind of anti-colonial feel, and it's been interesting seeing how it's been received, because it seems to be people think that I wrote it because of some of the situations in the United States with of course with police reform and Black Lives Matter, but it was inspired by actually some of the anti-colonialist murals that I saw here in Mexico. But I'm glad that it's been able to to cross over and people are able to interpret it in different ways.
I think there is that thing with the song, isn't it? You write it, and then when you give it away, people take ownership of it, and it means its own thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm proud that people have been able to interpret it in different ways.
But I think it certainly resonates. So this is Benjamin Adair Murphy from the album Let's Make a King, The White Man Gets Things Done. And that was The White Man Gets Things Done by Benjamin Adair Murphy, who joins us from Mexico City. And I'm very grateful that he is doing so. Can I ask, Benjamin, what's your inspiration as an artist? And we've spoken a little bit about the message that the latest album is sharing, but what prompted you to sit down and all the effort that goes into writing it and then recording it? And I know you drafted in other musicians. What was your motivation for it?
A lot of it just came out with anger with the crisis that was happening in the United States, and I had so much anger that was just coming out in songs, and it was interesting that they were coming out as blues songs. One thing that I've found with the blues format is they're easy to work on if I'm commuting to work or if I'm moving around, because I know exactly what the format will be. So it's easy for me to spend a long time just focusing on the lyrics. So that's these came out during a time that was that was very shocking and very difficult in the United States and around the world. There's this rise of coming primarily from the United States and kind of echoing from to other leaders, where you just had very frightening language, and so much of the population just willing to follow some of these quotes from people quoting Mussolini and being proud of it. And so it was shocking and it was disturbing, and it came out in blues songs for me.
Yeah, and I'm certainly very glad that it did. And I think that's probably leads us nicely into the second song that you've chosen. And I'll be honest, I found this song a little bit harrowing. This is Your Gun, and I mean, here in the UK, we certainly have our problems and our social problems, but gun crime isn't really one of them. And so this is something that we're looking at from a great distance. Look at it with other countries with a telescope. And I think the harrowing reality is really expressed well in the song. So if you'd like to just say a little bit about why you've chosen this one.
Well, I mean, if you're overseas, if you're outside of the United, I've lived the last almost decade overseas, and when you spend time away from the United States, you can start to see it as the way many people do see the United States, which kind of just seems like the Wild West with these gun laws. You have terrible situations like in Christchurch, where one mass shooting, and people are able to say, we don't want this to happen again, and they put some gun laws in place that make sense, and we don't do that in the United States. It's this record that keeps skipping. It happens, and people say we need to get something done. More and more people buy guns after each of these shootings. The last few months have been, in the United States, some of the gun sales have been the biggest month for gun sales ever in the United States. Wow. And I understand looking at us, it's like, what's wrong with what's going on? Why aren't these laws in place? And a lot of it has to do with the gun industry and the NRA and the money that's made by weapons. They just control the process, and we're not able to put any laws that make sense in it that save lives. I mean, it's just this health crisis in the United States, and it's just driven by a select people who are just making money, and so I just don't understand it, why it can't change, and it's so frustrating. So this song addresses that.
There's always somebody making money somewhere, but I think the frustration I think really comes through. So this is Benjamin Adair Murphy from the same album, Let's Make a King, Your Gun. And that was Your Gun by Benjamin Adair Murphy, who still joins us from Mexico City. So where do you see yourself going next? I've mentioned I love the fact that your music has a message, but do you have an idea where that might take you?
If we can get enough money, it'd be great to make another album. I have a whole collection of songs that are as angry as this one, which have the kind of blues rock sound. We just did a successful Kickstarter to get an EP called Old Chords together. In 2020, I'd actually wanted to put out 2 small EPs. One blues EP and one country folk EP, which would be Old Chords. But when we were putting the blues EP together, it just more and more of the blues songs kept coming out, and with the election coming out, we just decided to drop those drop the country songs and folk songs, and just focus on the angry blues songs. So that's when Let's Make a King became a full album. So we still had about 10 of these kind of more country folk songs that were that I think the songwriting is actually better. It's much different. I think if people hear it, some people will really like it. My friends in Texas who like the country music will like it, but it doesn't have the Old Chords EP will not have the more political the protest songs, if you will. So we'll have that out, which will be great. Yeah, the Kickstarter was successful, so we can finish that. And yeah, if we ever get a chance in the next couple of years, it'd be great to go in and record some of these new songs. The Let's Make a King album was recorded. I recorded all of my guitar parts and vocals in Mexico City, and sent them to my friend, the producer Roy Gurel, who did everything in. He did bass, guitar parts, everything in Israel. We were using Pro Tools, sending everything back and forth. So drums were recorded in Brooklyn. All the horns were recorded in Brooklyn. Some of the harmonica recorded in Los Angeles. So everything was done in different places and then put together. So it'd be really nice at one point if we could all be back in New York and just record everything in one room, like kind of Sun Records style.
Something to look forward to, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So before I ask you to tell folks about just how they can keep in touch with you and find out about your music, we're going to play your third choice, which is Stupid Follows Evil. The title probably says a lot about what this track is about, but would you like to just say why you've chosen this one? I
think we've talked about it. It's this willful ignorance. People following in the United States, people it wouldn't matter what Donald Trump did. And in the beginning of before he was even president, it's just like, I could kill somebody, I could shoot them, and I'd be fine. And his followers, they followed him, and it didn't matter what he said. And I mean, it's something that this kind of outrageous loyalty is something that it's a strange issue with very conservative people. It's not something that you can probably say that I'm a liberal, and I admire Obama, and I admire Biden, and I admire Harris. But if any of them started saying terrible racist things or quoting Mussolini or paying off prostitutes, I would not have. I would drop them in a second, and I wouldn't have any further nothing else to do with them. But it's not the same with the conservatives in the United States. I'm not sure how it is in Scotland, but it's the blind loyalty to people who are obviously not very good people is a mystery to me, and so that's what this song is about.
Yeah, I think that phrase that you used, the willful blindness, is a good coverall, isn't it? So this is Benjamin Adair Murphy, some Stupid Follows Evil. And that was Stupid Follows Evil. That was the third track chosen by Benjamin Adair Murphy, who's joined us from Mexico City. So thank you so much for joining us. Can I ask you, where can people find out more about you if they want to, and how can they connect with your music in order to find out about more music that you're releasing, and maybe any gigs or concerts that they can tune into?
Great. Well, my website is benjaminadairmurphy.com. And I'm on Bandcamp, Benjamin Adair Murphy at Bandcamp. So those are two very easy places to find information. I'm on SoundCloud, Twitter. And yeah, so probably going directly to my website would be the easiest thing to find out about upcoming EPs, and I do tweet a lot about everything that's coming out.
Thank you. So that was benjaminadairmurphy.com, and the next time that we play a track, I shall remind people of that web address. But if anybody wants to find out more and they didn't catch that, they can get in touch with the show, and I will point them in the right direction. Thank you so much for coming on. I know that here when we're recording, it's about, or just coming up for 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but it's early morning there in Mexico City. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on and share not just your music, but the thoughts that are behind it and prompted it. So thank you so much for coming on.
Well, the show's great, and thank you so much for playing my music alongside just so many amazing some of the older musicians just classic musicians that you're playing. It's a huge honor to hear stuff next to Lead Belly and Blind Willie Johnson. So thank you so much for your support and for playing the songs.
Well, we look forward to playing more of it in the future. And the good thing about blues is that it bleeds into other genres. So whether it's a country release or something, that we're able to sneak it in. Thank you.
Thank you.